chose this song, and Jesse's going to help me by playing guitar again. I chose this song. Um, it's called As Long as I Can See the Light, and I chose it because it's nice to know that there's people out there who are willing to help keep the lights on at ICS Shelter. So thank you, and here we go. Put a candle in the window, 'cause I feel I gotta move. When I'm going, I'll be coming home soon. Long as I can see the light. Pack my bags and let's get moving, 'cause I'm bound to drift a while. But I won't be losing my way, no. Long as I can see the light. Yes, I got that old traveling bone, 'cause this feeling won't leave me alone, no. But I won't be losing my way, no. Long as I can see the light. Yeah, oh yeah. Put a candle in the window, 'cause I feel I gotta move. When I'm gone, you don't have to worry now. Long as I can see the light. Long as I can see the light. Long as I can see the light. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. That was great. Jeremy was a resident of the ICS Recovery Shelter, and we will hear more from him later. Good morning. Welcome to Emmanuel Community Services Community of Hope celebration. We're so happy that you are tuning in. My name is Luke Cortez. I also am a graduate of the ICS Recovery Shelter, and I'm your MC today. Thank you for joining us. We had hoped by now we would be able to gather in person, but even though we can finally see the light at the end of the tunnel, it is just not possible to gather quite yet. So here we are virtual again, and we welcome you from wherever you are watching today. Emmanuel Community Services saved my life. Today we are going to share some of that hope with you. We will celebrate the great work ICS does, hear some stories, and celebrate some successes. Before we get started, we wanted to let you know that you can make a gift at any time during the program. There are several ways to give, and you can see them on the screen now. You will also notice a QR code on the screen at different times. Scan it with your phone, and it will take you straight to the donation page. This is the Community of Hope celebration. If the last 20 months have taught us anything, it is the true importance of community. So we thought we would kick off today's program by asking some of our guests, residents, volunteers, staff, board members, and neighbors, what is community?
Hi, my name is Jaime Cardenas, and I'm one of the board members of Emmanuel Community Services. To me, community means at least two things. One is kindness. The other is having a common goal. In this case, justice.
Community is a safe, loving place where people love to be and make decisions together. And yeah.
And for me, community is just a group of individuals who come together with some common goals. Just being able to be in a group of folks where you can communicate, talk with, laugh with, cry with, share differences of opinion, and still at the end of the day, be in community.
Community to me is a group of people from different backgrounds being able to come together, share stories and laughs.
La mí la comunidad es familia, compañerismo, convivencia con todas las personas.
Community to me is sharing in the lives that cross my path, which is people from church, people from work, or people from things like the Supper Club, which I'm at right now. So that would be community, is that sharing of good times together.
I think community is a place where you can create a sense of belonging with your peers and friends.
Community to me is, at least here, what I've experienced is a brotherhood. It really holds us together. And we support each other with our various struggles at times. And so it's a backbone to getting the support that we all need.
For me, community means having each other's back and knowing the people around you and knowing that they can come to you if they need help.
Community to me is where everybody comes together and supports each other.
Involvement of all the people.
Community means to me a body of people coming together for a greater cause and getting to know each other and getting to help the people less fortunate, and I see that in ICS.
Community means service with a smile.
Community means to me is like family, a place where you're welcome, and here in ICS, and that's pretty rare considering.
Community to me means belonging.
Community means sharing, whether it's a meal, a smile, or a conversation.
Well, community means to me is people allowing their citizens of their community to be themselves, to be their very best selves, with help from one another, without judgment or discouragement, just lending a helpful hand if they can.
Community to me is people who support you in your time of need, and that's what ICS does. It gives second chances.
Community is, to me, to try and be here and be useful and helpful for those folks that are looking for foods that they need for the week.
It means sharing the table together.
Community is where we're all pulled together by one thread, and we hold together so that no one comes unraveled.
Community means I'm safe. Community means the people around me take care of me, and I take care of them. It's my shelter. It's my everything. It's my life now.
Community for me is when everybody has access to the support and resources in order to thrive in all aspects of their life.
Esta comunidad para mí es lo máximo, es que nos dan la mano y nos ayudan, nos apoyan de todo en todo, y pues para mí está bien eso, que siga adelante y con más fuerzas.
Community is neighbors asking the simple question, how can I help?
So community to me is a fellowship, being able to come together and focus on the similarities and not the differences. And I'm grateful for ICS for giving me a home, a second chance, and grace. So, thank you.
Good morning. My name is Hongmi Lee, and I'm a board member for Emmanuel Community Services. On behalf of the Board of Directors, I would like to welcome you and thank you for joining us today. I have been on the board since 2019
as a liaison to Emmanuel Lutheran Church, ICS's original founders. I believe in the work that ICS does in all 4 of its programs, but I am particularly inspired by its hygiene program. There is a lack of public space available for our unhoused neighbors in Seattle, and the hygiene program allows people to come inside from the elements 5 days a week to rest with dignity and humanity. We need more spaces like ICS, and I am proud to support the life-giving and space-giving work that it does. We'd like to take a moment to acknowledge our sponsors who make this event possible. Thanks to their generosity, all costs for this program are covered, so every dollar received today will go straight to ICS programs serving people experiencing hunger and homelessness. We'd especially like to thank our presenting sponsors, Amazon, Vulcan, and the Mirabella Seattle Foundation, and our gold sponsor, University Kiwanis. Thanks to our sponsors and some very special donors to our matching fund, we have received $25,000 in matching funds. So every donation of $365 or more, just $1 per day, made today will be matched. Thank you, sponsors, for being a part of our community of hope. Now, I would like to introduce Executive Director of Emmanuel Community Services, Shauna McMahon.
Good morning. I'd hoped by this year's event, COVID would be behind us. But while some things are opening back up and seem to be getting better for some people, things for low-income folks are improving much more slowly. So COVID continues to be a focus at ICS while we make sure people are still safe. The last 20 months has felt like equal parts flying by the seat of our pants and creating sound emergency response plans that continually change. When COVID hit, we had to focus on the fundamentals. Just simply make sure people received the services they needed. How can we keep our doors open? Many other programs around us reduced or closed their services, but that just wasn't an option for us. Because in the midst of a crisis, that's when people need ICS most. People don't stop being hungry just because there's a pandemic. They don't stop needing showers or medical attention just because it's hard to provide those services. Our mission is to provide community-based social services to those experiencing hunger, homelessness, and addiction with hope, dignity, and community. So that is what we are called to do, despite a global pandemic. This meant finding a way to allow people the dignity to shop for their groceries safely by transforming Food Bank, moving it into another building to allow for physical distancing and better ventilation. This meant creating a home delivery and to-go program so people staying at home could still receive their food. It meant doing everything we could to help others throughout the community, not just at ICS. COVID-19 highlighted significant gaps in our system. Neighbors already struggling were pushed farther into the margins. So when a local homeless shelter was having a hard time obtaining food for its residents, we started delivering food every week for each family living in that shelter. When a neighborhood group ran a remote learning and tutoring program for local disadvantaged students, they realized the families who rely on free school lunches didn't have enough food at home. So we started a backpack program to provide food for the families to take home each week. When a local partner called and asked about supporting some of their clients who live in RVs and vehicles, we added them to our home delivery schedule and began delivering food each week to them too. We added extra days and hours of service to our hygiene center also, because with so many other programs and public spaces shut down, people just didn't have anywhere to go. When our guests told us the only food they ate all day was the lunch they received at ICS, we added a breakfast service. We tried to work with the city to make sure the bathrooms in the park stayed open so our unsheltered neighbors had somewhere to wash their hands. And when that didn't work, we put out a thermos of hot water and soap on the sidewalk, which is still being used today. This service to the community is only possible in partnership with the community. We only had a small handful of part-time staff, and after losing 98% of our volunteers overnight, one of our biggest challenges was people power. But the community came together to help in a big way. Organizations like United Way and South Lake Union Chamber helped recruit volunteers. The Seattle Food Committee assigned National Guard service members to help at the food bank, cook and serve meals, and assist with sanitation and hygiene safety. The home delivery program happened when a supporter said to me, "Yeah, it's possible. Let's do it. I'll do it." So even working from home, she took a long lunch once a week and delivered food to some of our homebound food bank visitors. Thus began our home delivery program, which continues to grow. Our partners at Union Church started making burritos and sack lunches every week to help meet the increased need for meals in the hygiene center. Finally, thanks to the Hunger COVID Response Program, we were awarded 2 AmeriCorps service members to help with grocery rescue, home delivery, and meals. The power of community at work. In the midst of the chaos, our role has been to be the calm in the storm for folks throughout the community struggling during this challenging time. When a need presents itself, we just look to see what is possible and how we can help fill that gap. The staff at ICS is amazing and so resilient. They have stepped up to the plate and accepted the challenge with every new curveball that has been thrown at them, while managing multiple crises at the same time. Homelessness? Check. Global pandemic? Check. Historic heat wave? Check. One on top of another, on top of another. But there are moments of hope and light in the midst of these crises. Providing vaccines, first for our staff who had been on the front lines for over a year, then for the guests and residents of our programs, then for the entire community at the vaccine clinics we hosted all summer long. And just this week, some really great news. Many of you know our friend Ignacio, a hygiene center and community lunch guest for over 15 years, and homeless for over 30. Due to his age and health concerns, we were really worried he might not be able to make it through another winter living outside. We have been trying for several years to find him a safe place and just learned this week that he's been accepted and moving into his own apartment. He is really excited to have a kitchen to cook in and a place to watch the Seahawks games. Hope, dignity, community. In the midst of such trying times, we are reminded that these remain the center of all we do at ICS. Each year, we select a person, group, or organization to receive our Spirit of Hope Award. This award recognizes those who inspire hope and work to further ICS's mission to care for those most vulnerable in our community. A few weeks ago, I had the privilege of presenting this year's award to Union Church Seattle. Most of their members were joining virtually, but they had a few small, physically distant groups present. It was so nice to be around humans again in person. There was a small technical glitch at the beginning, but we left that in the video because it perfectly represents our COVID world. The unexpected happens, and we keep moving forward.
Shauna McMahon is here, and she is Executive Director of Emmanuel Community Services. You hear about Emmanuel so much. You may not know this, but the reason we realized that they needed people to pick up food for their food banks many years ago, and we could do it on 4 Sundays, and that's how it started. Shauna, would you come up? It was really kind that you wanted to see us in person.
Good morning. Thank you. As Renee said, my name is Shauna McMahon. I am Executive Director of Emmanuel Community Services. Many of you know who we are. Many of you are involved with what we do. We are the longest serving social service agency here in South Lake Union. And we at ICS are so honored to be partners with this beautiful Union community. From the folks that break bread with our recovery residents every month, through Supper Club, to the Sack Lunch crew, to the Burrito crew, to the crew pre-COVID who used to sit down and bring a hot meal for our neighbors in the hygiene center who live homeless, to those that offer leadership and guidance and support, and even hosting our annual breakfast here for a few years. We are so grateful to walk alongside all of you and work together to provide hope, dignity, and community for the most vulnerable. We recently created the Spirit of Hope Award to recognize those that inspire hope and work alongside ICS to further our mission of caring for those most vulnerable in our community. Not only walking alongside us in our best moments, but as Renee said a few moments ago, in our real moments and in the moments where we're struggling and need someone to have our back. So it is my deep, profound pleasure to present the 2021 ICS Spirit of Hope Award to the Union Church Seattle.
So golden, I truly do feel, because Martha and Sam Kasny started the whole journey. Right now, I'm going to let you guys hold it because you, how many years ago? How many years ago?
I don't know how old is
Union. And how much food and all that and friendships you've had since. So, oh, Shauna, thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to the Union community for all you do.
Thank you, Union, for all you do. When I was a resident, I really looked forward to the supper club each month. We really appreciate you all. It's some of the best food I've ever had. Guess what? Union Church isn't the only one who won an award this year. Back in April, ICS was named the 2020 Nonprofit of the Year by the South Lake Union Chamber. So now I'd like to introduce Dana Abar, Executive Director of South Lake Union Chamber.
In the beginning of last year, Emmanuel Community Services was nominated for and won South Lake Union's Nonprofit of the Year. And may I just say, it was incredibly well deserved. When the South Lake Union Chamber looks at who to nominate for these awards, we think about what kind of community impact they have, whether they're helping to build bridges, create a sense of place and belonging here in South Lake Union. ICS does an incredible job of that. They've been doing it for over 40 years as South Lake Union's longest standing social services provider. We also look at whether they partner with other businesses and other organizations in the community. Emmanuel Community Services is a leader in this way. They contribute to the Chamber, our community council. They partner with other nonprofits, always looking for ways that they can work with other businesses and make their services and resources go as far as possible. Because of that, businesses in the community also want to partner with them and offer meals or resources or goods that they can offer. And that's really what we're looking for when we talk about building community, is how we all can collaborate together, not just businesses, but nonprofits, residents, employees, how we can all come together to create a better community. Last year, we were also very proud and honored to be able to offer ICS and many of our other small businesses and nonprofits in the community COVID relief grants. It was really heartwarming to see all of our businesses come together and contribute financially so that we could help lift up those most in need in our community. And I think we all know what an incredible burden ICS and other nonprofit service providers had to bear last year and continue to bear. So we wanted to do anything we could to help lighten that load and help to offer them any resources we could so that they could continue to serve their mission and do their incredible work. We're just so lucky to have them in South Lake Union. Like I said, we've had them here for decades, and we're very fortunate to have them here. Their impact in our community is not just something that we see today or yesterday. It's something that will be with our community for decades to come. And that's what's so important to us at the South Lake Union Chamber, is how we can build a better South Lake Union for all of us for many years to come. And ICS does an incredible job of that.
Wow, that's so great. Thank you, Dana, and thank you to the Chamber for all you do for our community. Since we aren't meeting in person again this year, we thought we would take advantage of the virtual aspect of the program and check in on some former clients to see what they are up to. Let's take a look.
Hey everybody, it's Jesse and Jeremy. You might remember us from 2 years ago. We played music at the breakfast. I just wanted to tell you how I'm doing since I graduated the ICS program. I have 3.5 years clean and sober. And I live in a building with 40 other guys that have gone through the same program. We're all doing really well. Got my permanent housing. And I couldn't have done it without the ICS shelter. That's the only clean and sober shelter in Seattle, and it's helped hundreds and hundreds of men to have a chance at getting clean and sober and rebuilding their lives. So thank you.
Hi, how are you? My name is Giovanni Wilson. I used to come here to the center, the church. I'm somewhat of a success story. I used to be out here on the streets and everything, and now I got my own apartment, you know, since I've been coming here and going through the counseling and everything. And things have been pretty well, you know. I even met my future wife. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Taylor Richards, and I just wanted to say that, you know, I'm truly grateful for ICS for helping me out when they did. I came from being homeless and addicted to drugs on the street, and now I have 3 years clean and sober. I haven't had a cigarette for 2 years. I'm currently almost done with my degree at Seattle Central College, and I'm taking social and human services. I'm getting my AST and chemical dependency degree at that college right now. My GPA is 3.8. I currently work part-time over at Recovery Cafe on Boren Street. I volunteer over at Pure Seattle, and you know, my life is looking so much better than it ever has, and I truly am grateful for all the help that ICS has given me to be able to do this. They gave me the opportunity to be able to pick myself up and start doing these things that I never thought were possible. I always thought that I was destined to be a drug addict, and that's what I was destined to be. I knew if I kept on using that I would either go to prison or I would die. But ICS gave me an opportunity to be able to get my life together. And you know, I'm trying to do as much as I can to give back to my community, to help the community that I was a part of when I was in my addiction, and hopefully shed light that there is a better way. I currently have my own apartment right now. I work at a place that I feel like provides recovery to people. I go to meetings, I got a sponsor, and I don't make the choices that I made when I was in my addiction. And for that, I'm truly blessed. I'm truly grateful. And, you know, anything that ICS, if they were to call me and ask for anything, I would be there and I would help, because they helped me when no one else could. And, you know, basically that's how it is for me. I can hold conversations now today, and I never was able to when I was in my addiction. And there's still a lot that I have to learn. But that's what I feel like being humble is all about. But now I have some hope that I can make these changes, that I can do better for myself. And I'm learning to love myself today. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Reverend Rick Reynolds. I'm the director of Operation Night Watch, and I'm thrilled to be able to recommend ICS because they do great work. They've done great work for a long time, but especially during COVID, we've loved having them as our partner agency, taking care of homeless people in the community, keeping them safe from COVID and safe from the elements. So please, please do what you can. Thank you.
My name is Renee Notkin, and I'm part of Union Church, 415 Commons, Cacao Cafe. We love partnering with Emmanuel Community Services. We love it. We have had the privilege of being partners with ICS from the day we entered South Lake Union. I remember thinking about what does it mean to be in this neighborhood, to be for the neighborhood, and we thought about things like food bank and providing nutritious meals for people, and then we looked around and thought, wait a minute, ICS has been doing this for so long and so well in this neighborhood. And that's when we realized that as we entered into this neighborhood of South Lake Union and Cascade neighborhood, we could be partners. We could support the food bank, we could help provide meals at the hygiene center, and even more than that, relationships, building. we could be encouragers of these amazing folks that come through the recovery program. I would say that this last unique time of this last year and a half, these last almost 2 years now of the pandemic, what has been very clear to us is that we needed the friendship that we share with Emmanuel Community Services. There are so many times when I would have the privilege of being on the phone with Shauna or seeing her in person, you know, across the parking lot, and my eyes would well up because I'd realize we are in this together, seeking to ask, how do we come alongside the people who on the ground level can get missed by people, as people were going home, as they were departing office buildings. Emmanuel Community Services stayed here every day, bringing dignity into people's lives, making sure people were not only getting food, but nutritious food, paying attention to people's stories, making sure that people got to doctor's appointments. Let's start at the beginning, making sure that they were getting health care as they needed in case they got COVID or they needed to get vaccinated. Making sure that their people were receiving food in their homes because they couldn't get out, and so suddenly watching how the food bank began to do more deliveries. Watching the care that was given to the men in the recovery program that were having to deal with the fact that they were going through recovery in isolation. In all of these ways, I have discovered that the partnership with ICS is such a privilege. And so we, through Union Church, through 415 Commons, we were honored to make burritos on a Saturday morning that we could add to what was already happening to hopefully alleviate some of the burden that was that the staff was experiencing, that we could still stop by with a meal and a friendly smile and wave at people through a window, and then slowly begin to come back in person and do things like our supper club on Thursday nights, once a month on a Thursday night. This Emmanuel Community Services has faithfully stayed, believed in people, encouraged people, given hope to people. I know I speak for myself and all of those who are part of Union Church. It has been our joy to come alongside Emmanuel Community Services. There is so much that we have discovered on this journey. I hope today you will decide to continue or begin afresh in supporting this vital organization, Emmanuel Community Services.
Hello, my name is Terrence Lewis, and I am the liaison between the Matt Talbot New Hope and Recovery Center and ICS. I'm here to share just a little bit about the recovery community here at Emmanuel Community Services. Just a little bit about how important a recovery community is to individuals who struggle with addiction. We know that community is important in every aspect, even those folks who are struggling with addiction. But also when they're ready to transition out of that lifestyle of addiction, they need to be in a supportive community. And ICS provides that supportive community to the guys who come off the streets into our program at the Matt Talbot New Hope and Recovery Center for treatment. And while we know that living a clean and sober lifestyle is difficult, it becomes even more difficult when we have been faced with the last 18 months of COVID-19 and social distancing, isolation, folks being disconnected from some of the communities that they've known. Our guys here at Emmanuel have done a great job of developing their own community, their own support groups, as well as doing their own 12-step meetings so that they can stay connected to a recovery community. It's one thing to be able to go online and zoom in onto a meeting. It's another thing to be able to have a meeting with guys that you can reach out and touch, guys who can just walk downstairs and check on you and see how you're doing in this socially distant and isolated time that we're facing. So I think it's just the guys that were able to be proactive as opposed to being reactive and doing everything that they could do to make sure that their recovery stayed at the forefront has just been amazing to watch. being able to partner with Emmanuel Community Services and getting them a safe place to stay has been the difference between long-term recovery and relapse. And so we're grateful for the partnership. We're grateful for the opportunity that Emmanuel Community Service offered the guys who come off the street looking for that one dream, and that dream to get their life back.
Hello, my name is Benjamin Graham. I grew up in a town called Macon, Georgia, about 75 miles south of Atlanta. My parents divorced when I was 2, and I was raised primarily by my mother. Amidst all the negativity of living in the South, Mama always taught me there was something bigger out in the world for me, that the possibilities of what I could do and who I could become were endless. Through her love, I learned how to love and how to live. But in the early morning hours of July 23rd, 1993, she was taken away from me by a drunk driver while on her way home from work. At 14 years old, that huge world that she had prepared me for came crumbling down around me. From that point forward, I felt trapped, I felt lost, and I felt abandoned. Not abandoned by her, but by my family who did nothing to teach me how to grieve or help me heal. I was living with my dad at this point, but I felt truly alone, waiting for the guidance that never came. I became withdrawn and put up walls around myself to protect myself from getting hurt again. Then at the age of 16, I discovered weed and alcohol. I'd learned enough about drugs and alcohol to know that they weren't the right solution to my problems, but at that time they were the only solution I could find. I felt a little freer. I began to make friends. I felt like I was a part of something again. I was accepted. I felt good for a change, which made me want to feel even better. After high school, I went to work at my dream job as a DJ at the local rock radio station, but that was a problem. I was too shy to speak on air when it came time for me to get behind the mic. Coincidentally, I was introduced to methamphetamines the very next day. Again, I'd found the solution to my problems in drugs. The shyness was gone, but that didn't work out either. I developed a serious addiction that slowly crippled my ability to do my job, and I was eventually fired. The devastation was back, and it was then that I knew I had a serious problem. But it was too late. My addiction had become a part of that world in which I still felt trapped. A few years later, I was working at the family plumbing supply business. I got married, and my son Cameron was born in early 2003. But guess what? It wasn't enough. I was still hopelessly addicted, and I eventually lost that job, that marriage, and my ability to be a good father. I'd become the man I said I'd never be. I wasn't going to be like the man who killed my mom, but I eventually got 2 DUIs. I wasn't going to be the absentee father like my dad was, but that's exactly who I was. Fast forward through the next several years of absolute chaos to early 2010. I was coming out of a serious crack and heroin spree that included several trips to jail, and I was in another relationship, this time with someone just as destructive as me, and she was pregnant. After getting picked up on a probation violation, I made the decision to get clean while sitting in the county jail. I knew one of us had to be sober for our child, and I knew it wasn't going to be her. I thought it was over for me, that I'd finally be able to put my addiction behind me. Gavin was born in July 2010, and at that moment I found out he was not mine biologically. That didn't matter though. He had already saved my life, and I intended to do the same for him. He was born 5 weeks early, addicted to opiates, and spent the first 2 weeks of his life in the hospital. He showed me strength I never knew could exist in a life that small. I made a promise to him in the hospital when he was 2 days old that I would never leave his side. That promise would eventually be broken, but not before he became my whole world. I got full custody of him when he was 2 years old, and I was with him every day of his life up until a couple of weeks after his 6th birthday. I worked so hard on being everything he needed that I had lost touch with what I needed. I had created a void inside myself. I needed to be more than Gavin's father, but instead I became less. I relapsed on New Year's Eve 2015, and for the next 8 months I systematically dismantled everything I had built up in my sobriety. Then on August 5th, 2016, after a fight with my dad, I was arrested for possession. I haven't seen Gavin since that night or even heard his voice, except for some old videos and photos. During my incarceration, the state intervened, made me submit to a DNA test, and took him out of my life for good. And with that, they took my will to live. I sat in jail for the next several months, planning my own death. I felt that I had failed completely and caused damage to everyone in my life, and that they'd be better off without me. Then 2 days after my release from jail, one of my best friends died of an overdose. I was hurt, but even more so, I was angry. Carrie was dead and I was not, but he probably saved my life because I couldn't bring myself to end it so soon after he left us. I couldn't do that to my friends, so I continued using, hoping that would accidentally kill me. No such luck. Then I got locked up again, probation violation. While in jail this time, I perfected my plan. I would sell my truck, buy a ticket to Seattle, and die alone where no one would miss me. I'd always wanted to visit, and it seemed like a pretty cool place to die. Upon my release, I moved forward with my plan. I was able to sell my truck pretty quickly, then I bought my ticket. I had 3 days to get ready to walk away from everything and everyone I'd ever known and loved. Then there was a moment during those 3 days in which I found hope. I don't know where it came from, but it was there. In that moment, I decided that if I can go nearly 2,800 miles to die, then I could certainly go that far to live. So that's what I did. I arrived in Seattle on August 18th, 2017, and I've been sober ever since. I arrived determined like never before. I fought my way through pain, suffering, and sadness of recovery to be where I am today. At first, Seattle seemed so big, dangerous, and frightening, but ICS played a huge role in making it a little smaller and safer by providing a roof over my head and the opportunity to feel like I was part of something again. They gave me love, support, and guidance. They became family, both staff and fellow residents. I felt more at home than I have in the past 25 years, and I couldn't be happier about that or more appreciative of everyone who made it possible. My life now looks much different than it did when I completed the program 3 years ago. I was a college student until the pandemic came along, and now I'm currently employed full-time at another homeless shelter, and that would not have been possible without my time at ICS, and for that I'm eternally grateful.
What if we walked a mile in their shoes, assumed a little less, tried to feel what they feel? What if we opened our hearts a little more, asked ourselves, what if this was me? 'Cause they are just like you and me, trying to find a way to be in this world and live in peace. 'Cause they are just like you and me, trying to find a way to be in this world
Hi, I'm Paul Algio, and this is my husband, Kevin Johnson. Both of us are members of Emmanuel Lutheran Church, where ICS is housed.
And I'm also a past president of the ICS Board of Directors, and am currently the president of the Emmanuel Lutheran Church congregation.
We are so proud to be financial supporters of Emmanuel Community Services. We are grateful for this community of supporters, including you, and here's why.
On Monday mornings during Food Bank, we wish that we could be a part of making sure that everyone's fed, and we wish we could be there to welcome everyone inside the building, but we have jobs and can't be there.
So we are grateful for the host of volunteers and for Andy who creates an environment where all are welcomed and people leave with plenty to eat.
On weekdays during hygiene program, we wish we could be a part of making sure our community of neighbors can come inside, find respite from the weather, get a hot meal, and feel like they belong. But truth be told, we don't feel equipped to be that kind of welcoming presence that is needed.
So we are grateful to financially support the work of Dave, Shauna, and all the volunteers and all the staff of ICS who work day in and day out to treat all of our neighbors with dignity.
We want to be a part of making sure that all the men in recovery know that we are rooting for them and care about their journey. But in this pandemic, we haven't been able to cook them a meal or even talk to anybody.
That's why we are so grateful for the folks at Matt Talbot and at ICS, and for everybody else who has been with all the men in their recovery along their journey.
We can't always be there, and we often don't feel equipped.
But by financially supporting those who can, we are so grateful to be partners in the work of building a community with dignity and hope.
When you give today, we want you to think about the large network of people who care. Think about your values and how you dream that other people are treated. Think about the volunteers and staff who are living out those values every day.
And if you're like us, and the way you support is primarily financially, think about how you are supporting work every day to improve the lives of our neighbors.
And in this pandemic, where the needs are greater, we have also committed to increasing our financial support. We hope that you would do the same.
There are plenty of ways to give. You can use the QR code on the screen to navigate to the ICS donation page. You can go to the website, icsseattle.org, and click on the Community of Hope pop-up box.
And you can mail a check directly to ICS.
And we are excited to share a couple ways to stretch your donation. We have a $25,000 gift match. In your community, including those neighbors at the margins.
It takes all of us to support and sustain the mission of Emmanuel Community Services. Thank you for being a part of making ICS a community of hope.
Thank you, Kevin and Paul. Well, that's it for us this morning. I would like to thank you all for joining us, and from the bottom of our hearts, thank you for your support. We'd also like to thank our sponsors, staff, volunteers, and everyone who helped put this program together, especially our speakers who shared their stories. We really are very grateful. Thank you again for joining us, and don't forget to donate. Have a really great day.
Thank you.